It's showtime.
Down to business. I got my wild cherry Diet Pepsi, and I got my blackjack gum here, and I got that feeling. Yeah, that familiar feeling that something rank is going down out there.
Gutter.
It's a nice spot.
Gutter.
Gutter. It's a nice spot. 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 Gutter, gutter, gutter.
Now I've been drinking, this is true. And there's a smell in the air tonight. It smells just like boo. Who in the hell? I reached into my Levi's. I took a whip from my hand. Who shit in my pants? Who shit in my pants? When I was just about to dance, who shit in my pants? Now there's a wet spot that's growing in my jeans, and it looks like a work of art. I think you know what I mean. I think you do. I ran into the bathroom to get another glance. Who shit in my pants? Who shit in my pants? When I was just about to dance. Who shit in my pants? Oh, take it away, boys.
And if you can't believe it, it's a Friday once again.
I like the relationships. I mean, each character has his own story. I mean, puppy is a bit too much, but you have to overlook things like that in these kind of paintings. But the way he's holding her, it's almost filthy. I mean, he's about to kiss her, and she's pulling away. The way the leg is sort of smashed up against her. Look how he's painted the blouse, sort of translucent. You can just make out her breast underneath, and it's, sort of touching him about here. It's really pretty torrid, don't you think? Then, of course, you have the onlookers peeking at them from behind the doorway like they're all shocked. They wish. Yeah, I must admit, when I see a painting like this, I get emotionally erect.
Good evening. Submitted for your disapproval, a world built from the same blueprints as what had come before, the same skylines, the same stars, the same whispered dreams in those hushed, silent moments between young lovers. But in this place, those dreams metastasized and grew cancerous in the darkest place of the consciousness of society. Take the Wayback Machine to 1995. The Cold War's corpse is still relatively warm. Grunge has replaced hair metal, and irony is king of the hill, wearing a crown of the worst aspects of nihilism and angst. In the shadow of the shining painted hymn to heroism that served it as its progenitor, one that dared to believe humanity deserved its icons, there came a rejoinder. Not a rebuttal, not a structured counter argument layered with meaning and metaphor. No, this is a reversal in every way. A boot stomping out every ember of idealism, a snarl wrapped in glossy stock and existential rot. In short, it was a harbinger of what was to come. Where one tale gave you men of steel hearts and souls to match, this one handed you bitter consequences. No great power, just radiation burns, state oppression, and bursting tumors. The angel's wings have been clipped. It wasn't satire either. This was a vivisection for the sake of nothing, an autopsy with no honor for the deceased, nor with any notice that it was dead prior. The coroner conducting the operation wrote like a brick through a window and plotted like a virus's infectious rage. Here, everything that should have gone right didn't. It was a collapse beneath the gravity of the will that everything wholesome must be consumed via harsh realities, and where miracles, should they happen at all, arrive horribly disfigured and screaming. Settle in, true believers. This isn't the age of the marvels. It's a shit show of an afterbirth being presented as art. The stench is familiar to us now, but then it was something new. Welcome to the gutter. Everyone ends up here eventually. It is only a matter of time. JP, how are we doing tonight?
This book is shit.
I would like to preface this entire episode with we have been on a roll with a couple of books that we've been recommending. And when I asked JP, I'm like, what do you want to go with next week? And I started kind of preparing the options. And before I could even shoot him over to him, he goes, I want to do a book that's as bad as Void Indigo. And I took that as a challenge, as a personal challenge. And I have an on-deck circle, if you will, of really, really bad books. And this wonderful gem, if you can call it that, from Warren Ellis's library was at the top. And so I threw it over to JP and we decided to do it tonight. So the book is Ruins from 1995, which is the sequel to 1994's Marvels, which was extraordinarily well received and still resonates to this day, by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. This book, we'll get into it. But first, let's see who's joining us in the chat tonight. As a reminder as well, this show broadcasts on two channels, the Lord Crackhead comic channel as well as the Gutter's dedicated channel. As of July, this show will only be on the Gutter channel. So make sure you go over and subscribe to that. We'd greatly appreciate you staying as a viewer once we go exclusively to one channel. But first joining us is Eric Grant. I probably won't be able to make this one live. I want you to know I think it's smelly bad. Smelly and in general bad taste. But enough about JP. I also dislike the book. I'm loving the hate that Eric Grant's giving you. I find it entertaining.
It's almost romantic.
Yes, Citizen Ronan has asked, what happened to my life? Well, my friend, if you go way back to the era of this book, in 1994, Tom Petty released his self-titled album, Wildflowers. On that, there is a song, I believe it's called Wake Up Time, that has one of my favorite lines ever. You used to be so cool back in high school. What happened? And that is my only retort to your question of what happened to my life. Scrolling down, we got people saying hi to each other. We got Snuggy Jr. has joined us, everybody's favorite troll that kind of is a furry, maybe. At least has an icon that was one. Either way, Snugs is a cool dude. Henry Bemis has joined us. Another night in the gutter. Guess I'll crack a beer. Well, hell yes, man. Absolutely. Crack a few, because this book is brutal, and it's only going to get worse. And as I said, this song was a perfect match for this book. That song, Who Shit in My Pants, is sung by Fish Lips. They are a local Michigan band that the wife and I randomly stumbled on. We caught a movie way back in 2009, shortly after we got engaged. And we're sitting at a bar having a beer and a burger, and didn't even realize that the band was playing. And they played a couple of songs. They went on a break, and then they opened their second set with that. And we caught them a couple times after that live. But they've got a little bit of a presence on YouTube, so it was. I thought it was appropriate for tonight. But Awesome One says, dude, thanks for joining us, man. And Dale A says, these are terrible lyrics. Yes, they are. I never implied they were good.
A terrible book.
It was funny. I think somebody shit in Dale's pants. Oh, man. And Edwin's joining us. Great to see Edwin the Buzz Acevedo. Great to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. And scrolling down, we've got Awesome One. Laugh out loud. I'll walk around occasionally and talk about pooping your pants. Well, there you go. Don't poop other people's pants if you got to do it. I just say it's shit. Well, it is. It is shit. The book we are covering tonight is absolute dog shit. And Snuggy Jr. be bursting tumors all over the social medias. John's Longbox has joined us. Great to see you, John. Go check out his second book over on Fund My Comic. Is this narrative about a book, or is it a stream? Indeed. Belmont's joining us. Great to see. Dale A says, wait, what channel is going to be live? The dedicated Gutter channel is the channel that this show will be moving to in the first week of July. And Citizen Ronan and Henry Bemis are both posting the links. Appreciate it, guys. And I was never cool in high school, says Citizen Ronan. Well, there you go. I'm not showing that comment for Snuggy Jr. about furries. And I knew a guy with the nickname Shit the Bed Ed. So there's that.
It's a great nickname.
That is a good nickname. Jason Sandberg, the creator of Jupiter, has joined us. Make sure you check out Jupiter. Still in demand on Indiegogo. Everybody owes it to themselves to get a copy. And that's going to do it. It looks like that's everybody. Everybody else is just saying hey to themselves. So, yeah, man. So we've got Ruins, the sequel to the Marvels. We've actually never covered the Marvels on this. But yeah, actually, before we get into that, I do want to say this last Wednesday, Vatican City 2 came out. Hopefully you've gotten your copy. If not, go to your LCS and get it. Next week, here on the Gutter, JP will not be present. However, actually, man, a producer, Arrogant Ape, will be stepping in. And we'll be covering with special guest Per Berg himself, Vatican City issue 2. So mark that one on your calendars. And also on June 18th of next month, in issue 3, the final issue of Vatican City will be coming out. So make sure you get that on your pull lists. But before we get into the actual book, I do have I hate it when this happens, but I got a phone call. And Arrogant Ape, our executive producer, left me a voicemail. So let me play this. And after this, I'll relate what I sent him that led to this voicemail. So here we go.
Aldous, baby, what's shaking? I'm just pulled over here on the side of the road because I saw a sign that said watch for children, and I thought, man, that sounds like a fair trade. Listen, the reason I'm calling is I'm going to have to lay a little bit lower for a little bit longer than I thought originally. No, it's not because I recommended that people watch Pebble and the Penguin, although that did put me on a watch list. No, this is for something unrelated. I haven't been completely transparent about my past. I'm a little bit older than I've let on. And in my youth, I was part of a movement. Let's call it a pinwheel party, because that's what I really thought I was joining. A pinwheel party. A bunch of guys getting rowdy on the weekends, rousing up the beer hall, right? They liked all the things that you and I like for the most part. You know, trains running on time, free helicopter rides. But some photos have been taken. It's all being blown out of context, right? But it's really damaging to my reputation in the meantime. Frankly, it's almost as damaging as being executive producer of the show. So I'm just going to chill here in Argentina for a little bit longer. I got some buddies who are going to house me. Money's still coming in. And, you know, you just tell that little JP that when I come back, we're all going to Olive Garden. All right, baby, I'll talk to you later.
And there you go. But in case you were curious as to what prompted this, late last week, in going through a long box, I stumbled across an issue and took a little snap of the cover and just sent it over to Arrogant Ape and asked him, like, dude, I think as Ricky Ricardo would say, you have some splaining to do. And it was this. This has been sanitized. But as you can imagine, Ape felt the need to go into hiding after this one. This is Weird War, issue 40 or 80.
I dig those uniform colors.
Yeah, very vibrant. Very vibrant.
Very bisexual lighting.
Indeed. And also, while we're on the topic, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. And Memorial Day is historically a day where you celebrate those who have died in service to this country. And I'd like to give a shout out to Blambot, who issued this. A note from Nate: there will be no Memorial Day sale at blambot.com. I find it distasteful to turn a solemn remembrance of American military personnel who have given their lives in service to our country into an event to make a little extra money. We'll do a sale a little later in the month. Thanks. Dude, awesome. Good on Blambot. I get irritated enough with the constant celebration of people going out of their way to thank veterans on Memorial Day when the people you should be thanking are in graveyards. It is a holiday dedicated to service members who've already passed, especially those who have passed in service. Veterans Day is its own holiday. So good on Nate, good on Blambot. If you need any digital lettering, fonts, or how-tos or anything like that, go check them out. They do a good job of providing all that stuff. But without further ado, on to Ruins. JP, thoughts?
Well, you know, I uploaded a video to my channel earlier today. It was the usual restaurant riffraff. But I try to have like a running theme with each episode. And the theme in the episode for this week was names, like what you name your business and the importance of having a good name. And I honestly can't think of a better name for this book than Ruins, because it ruins my week. Reading it was like, you remember when Christopher Reeve's Superman crushes the piece of coal to make it, a diamond?
Yes.
It was like that, only it was like crushing a piece of coal and inside is dried cum.
There you go. I was going to say maybe like a like petrified baby shit, but yeah, so I do have to talk a little bit about this because I try to always, even the bad books have something about them that I think is interesting from the side of a collector. Now, Ruins was 2 issues. The first issue was released in where are my notes? They went way here. August. I think it was August of 95. August of 95 was issue 1. And this can be found in almost every dollar bin of any shop you go to. It might be valued up to $5, but you should only be paying $1 for this. It's has no value. It was actually, I'll get into that. So, however, the first issue was not received well. It sold okay, but not great. it really, it was presented as a sequel to the Marvels, which Busiek and Ross did an excellent job on. That's a fantastic series. This is a complete 180, as I suggested in my monologue. It is not hopeful at all. It is Ellis at his most Ellis-dom, especially early in his career. So it didn't do very well, and the reception for issue 1 was so terrible that issue 2 is actually a collectible, because it did not sell well at all. I cannot say how much of an abject failure issue 2 was. And we'll get into a ton of the reasons why, because there's, in addition to just this being I don't even think you can call this a story. In addition to that, they had to change art teams between issue 1 and issue 2. The official line is that it was related to just deadlines being required, because this was released in September of 95, a month after the first issue. More than likely, though, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that maybe as time continues to go by, we'll find out more about. But yeah, so there's that. But issue 2, this one is a little bit more complicated for its collectible value. As I said, it sold very poorly. It is the worst of the 2 issues. There's a lot of disjointedness in the, I guess if you want to call it, thematic storytelling aspect of it. It also, like I mentioned, saw the change in the art team, and it did not sell well, so it is rarer. Of the 2 issues that make up the series, this one is actually collectible. Usually just a floppy in reader grade will be going for around 15 to 20. If you can find a CGC copy of this, rated or graded higher than a 9, about a 9.2, I've seen them go for over $100. It is so weird. The CGC grading market is weird anyway for collectors, but when you, this era especially, which is the late 90s, the really, really shitty books that didn't sell very well, it's kind of the flip side of the Image boom. Like, everybody thought Youngblood 0 and Youngblood 1 and Spawn 1 would be worth some money. It's actually the dog shit books that are worth money, and the books that everybody bought, not really shocking, are not really worth much. So yeah, nobody should ever pay more than $5 for this book. It's ridiculous that it's valued that high, but here we are. It was written by Warren Ellis. Here's Warren. He's the young edgelord, kind of the progenitor of edgelords, I suppose. I like some of his stuff, especially later in his career. Like we covered Fell here on the show with Odin Dasko. What was it, a year and a half ago? Fantastic book, great series. But this is very new. Ellis is relatively young, and his edgelord dumb just comes across as dumb for the sake of, no other words. The art team on issue 1 is a husband and wife team. The first issue and part of the second issue were painted. Well, part of this, we'll get into the painting issue, but it was a painted book. The art team was Cliff Nielsen. This is Cliff and Teresa Nielsen. They are now divorced. And just as an added addendum, Teresa went to work for Wizards, doing Magic the Gathering card art for later in her career. And in 2018, she was rather publicly fired from Wizards for her very vocal support of QAnon and her radical opposition to trans activists, along with her wife and 4 children. And yes, you heard me right. She is a lesbian who's married to a woman who hates trans people. So this whole thing just gets really weird. And she was a QAnon fan. So there you go. But let's check the chat, and then we'll dive right into the book. I just appreciate you covering of comic books that aren't 90s Image. That scene is so enamored with. I am not a 90s Image fan, as anybody that follows my feed will know. And yeah, there's a lot of great books. We've covered a ton of good books from the 90s, and we've also covered some absolute dog shit. This obviously falls in the dog shit category. Wasn't the old man the photographer in Marvels? Yes, it is the sequel. Sheldon, who is the reporter in Marvels, is the primary character. And Ellis does his most Ellis thing ever and makes him just a disjointed mess of a character that's slowly dying. And we'll get into all that. Daly says he was the everyman narrator for Marvel's, so I hope not. Yes, he was. The old man is not the bad guy, but he kind of is. It's just not written well. I didn't know about the series. I do remember the Code of Honor Marvel's pseudo sequel. This is actually the official sequel to that, to Marvel's, and we might touch on that. Awesome one says, so we wasted our time with CG and should have supported Miss Marvel for the cash money. Ironically, yes. Books that sell like dog shit usually become more collectible. But yeah, and nothing to CG will really be worth any value in the long term, unless you've got the sycophants that want specific books. Henry Beavis says turf. Indeed, she is kind of she's like a primordial turf in 2018. Snuggy Jr. is on board with turfdom. And also says 90s image isn't pulp-aspired or Tarantino-esque. Well, there you go. And KSSS joins us. He joins us tonight when I don't have it ready. But he did drop the act, so I am going to real quick switch over just for KSSS, just so he can see the beauty that we put together.
Whoa, did we go back in time?
We went back in time. Here it is, KSSS. You missed it on Wednesday. This is just for you.
I've been working too hard to give me a heart attack.
That's just for you, buddy. So we're back in the gutter now. CG worth anything in the long term. Yes, indeed. But yeah, getting back on track a little bit. So here's the front matter. As you see, it was written by Warren Ellis, art by Cliff Nielsen and Teresa Nielsen. Jonathan Babcock was the letterer. Marie Javins was the editor. And yeah, we're just going to jump right in. And you get this. It kind of starts off like you think it's going to have some kind of philosophical meaning with this opening page of, for every kiss, a bullet in the face, for every action, a reaction, for every event, there exists in a potential mirror event, exactly the opposite possibility. In the world you know is one of Marvel's, where heroic women walk invisibly through horror and men of free ride the upper reaches of the air. There is only a misstep or a stopped heartbeat away is a world of ruin. And that's what we're entering. We're entering a world of ruins, a world of just disaster. The art, however, is good for the most part. The first book, I liked the art quite a bit. I dig a painted book anyway. But yeah, this opens and the Avengers Quinjet is blown out of the sky by a Patriot missile. So you already know where you're ending or where you're going. And in the pages that follow, we see like Captain America's shield smoldering, and we know that heroes have died. And it gives us the kind of the glimpse into what this world is. JP, what was your take on this, man?
I mean, you might have to help me refresh my memory, but I kind of remember this book as being more of a montage than a story. Not to jump too far.
No, it's more of a vignette sequence. Is how I would say. It's not there's no thematic story. It's a bunch of vignettes. And
right.
That's what
being a story guy, it's kind of like going to a restaurant and finding out everything is vegan. Like there's nothing for me here. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Citizen Ronan says, "Happy birthday! You ought to know by now." Kansas, yes, indeed. I'm glad you all appreciate it. Kansas. This is that was beautiful. All this make a 10-hour video of acts. Yes, we will get right on that. Indeed. But yeah, it is a series of vignettes, and there's Jolly 12 joins us. Great to see Jolly. And Einbright has joined us. Chat is dead. Yes, Chat is indeed dead. That's over on the Gutter channel. Everybody's over on the Lord Crackhead comic channel, which we will be changing. Peter Orchard Studios has joined us. It looks like when Marvel did the Tower series, Lord of Art didn't do the story justice. The art it's good, but I dig this kind of Sikenovich inspired style. The problem is it doesn't fit the story at all. nor does it really do any justice in its narrative telling of there is no story. It's just vignettes. It's Sheldon, the reporter from the Marvels, is walking through a dystopian landscape, and it's just vignettes of him running into heroes. So like here he walks into a bar to talk to the bartender, and Wolverine happens to be sitting at the bar, but Wolverine is instead of his healing factor healing him, it's slowly killing him. And so he's a slowly rotting corpse. And that's in essence what this book is. It's the slowly rotting corpse of Marvel. There's nothing redeeming here. It's an interesting footnote in Ellis's career, if anything. And we kind of continue on, and we get pictures of what's happened to other heroes. Hawkeye was executed, a la like the Tet offensive. Iron Man went into South Central Los Angeles. Wanda, the Scarlet Avenger, or the Scarlet Witch from the Avengers. That train almost done over there by you, JP?
Never.
Okay. And but she's turned state's evidence. It's just this the art is good. Silver Surfer disemboweled himself and orbits the Earth. And Professor X is the president. It's bad. And you never get any explanation for how any of these things are connected. They just happen.
It's kind of like those I don't even know if TV shows do this anymore, but it's like the clip show. You know what I mean? Like they just needed an episode to show like clips from older episodes. Like it almost feels like that's what this is like.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like a clip episode for sure, but there usually in a clip episode there's a general theme. There's no theme here other than like everything is bad. Every hero is not heroic. It's what this is this is a microcosm. Ellis is giving you a beautiful glimpse of what is to come like 10 to 15 years later with Marvel. This is the first edgelord
I mean, I would say culture,
deconstructionalism that you see, and it's so bad. It's so poorly executed. It's amazing this got greenlit. And honestly, what it reads as, like, it reads like it's a first draft that Ellis came up with after like a bender where he went through a couple of bottles of booze and just settled like this is the outline that he threw together, and nobody corrected him. Like it feels incredibly juvenile. It's like every time somebody first comes into the indie scene, their first book that they like are pitching is always about, look, there's angels, but they're bad. It's kind of that. It's like that cringe-inducing, like, okay, so you read about the Nephilim once, and the book of Ezekiel, and it's just that. It's that. It's so sad. It's just repetitive of the same bad idea that you often see, and oh god damn it.
Yeah, it's like there's like a kind of maturation as an artist where it's like you start out wanting to be an artist, and your dream is to make something that people have never experienced before. But when you mature as an artist is when you realize that your goal should have been to make something that people have seen many times before, but better.
Yes. Yeah, there's no aspect of this that's emotionally redeeming, that's culture. There's nothing thought provoking. It's just shock value.
Yeah. Like I imagine that like the prototype for this was literally just a list of characters and what happened to them that would be unique or interesting.
Right, and that's what I assume the outline was. I'm assuming that Ellis just delivered an outline of like, here's how we destroy every Marvel character, and they just greenlit it and ran with it. And it's so shocking because Marvels is a really good series, and I do encourage everybody to go check that out. That's a good story, and the art is great. The art in the first book on this is great, and we'll get into why I can't say that about the second book shortly. But the KSSS also says the clip show, yes, either someone is in a coma or they're trapped in an elevator, remembering all the shit happening the last 3 seasons. And that's what this is Ellis took the character of Sheldon from the first one, the reporter of Marvels, and then put him, and he's just jumping from vignette to vignette. And how, this is a great example. This is my favorite example of just how bad this book is. He randomly runs into Nick Fury, and Nick Fury is just standing there smoking and is just threatening, and for no reason either. There's no implied reason why Fury at first starts off friendly, and then he shoots a dog. And then out of nowhere, Marvel Girl comes over, and she's a hooker, and she says, "Hey, I'll show you a good time." And Fury just shoots her for no reason, and then talks a little bit to the guy, punches him in the chest, and then as he's on the ground, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to kill myself." And then Fury kills himself. By the way, Captain America is dead. We killed him with a Patriot missile. That was what happened in the Quinjet, but we already knew that, so we're repeating that. Like, what? Why? What's going? I don't get it.
Mm.
It's just edgy. Oh, look, we killed Nick Fury. Very dumb. Very dumb. And here's Hulk. Hulk was bathed by radiation, and now all the tumors are exploding, and he's just a giant cancerous mass, essentially.
Mm.
So there's that. So we've got Hulk, Wolverine, Nick Fury, Marvel Girl, Silver Surfer, Hawkeye, Iron Man. We're just working our way through. And don't worry, if your favorite Marvel hero hasn't been listed, they're probably covered in issue 2, because we go through the whole range of them. And the end of the book is it's going to be continued. We've got Punisher. There's Punisher. Punisher's dead. We got that too. Look, we're killing everybody. Oh my God! By the next issue, in a story that doesn't make any sense. But something happened between issue 1 and issue 2. I alluded to it earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nielsen's are no longer involved with this project. We have moved over to Chris Moeller. Chris Moeller did a lot of work for Star Wars. That's why he's standing next to a stormtrooper. That is Chris Moeller, not in the stormtrooper uniform. And so we get issue 2. Issue 2, we added Chris Moeller to the artists. Now, according to, if you go online and you dig, you will see a lot of stuff that says that the Nielsen's were not involved at all with book 2. I find that really hard to believe, because the first few pages have all of their fingerprints all over it. I think it's probably just I think they were trying to just sweep this under the rug and give it all to Moeller. But like this page, I'm guessing this is probably still the Nielsen's. And here we have, he's on a flight, and he's sitting next to Miss Darkhold, who of course is Mystique. And what do we have? Mystique's normal, right? She's not suffering. She's not, nope. She mutates and explodes, because that's what we do.
On a plane.
On a plane. It's just, we can't even have a moment without it. And then when he lands at the airport, a security guard pushes an old man who happens to be Magneto and breaks his belt that controls his powers. So he explodes in a giant resonance of magnetic something or other. It's just dumb. There's a lot of dumb. And issue 2 is so much dumber than 1.
Just realize this guy is like Forrest Gump. It's not a vignette. It's not vignettes. These things are all happening right after each other.
Maybe that's it. Awesome one says, nothing compares to the Gutter. Can only imagine anyone making this better. There you go. Thank you so much. Scrolling down, we got, this is just dumb. Yes, it is. It is dumb. It is. Ellis does good work later in his career. Like I said, Fell is worth your time. But this, I do not understand how this gets greenlit. What the fuck? You would rather read a book you've read 100 times before, but this one is better over reading something original. Not sure what the context is there.
I think it's misconstruing what I said earlier, that about like how like early on an artist wants to make something that nobody has ever read, experienced before, whereas as you mature as an artist, you realize that you want to make the best version of something people have experienced many times before.
Gotcha. That makes, thank you for explaining. I think that might sum up, or at least explain to Peter Orchard what you were talking about. Snuggy Jr. says, why? What's the point of the storyline? We don't know. No one knows. I don't think Warren Ellis knows. It's just, look, I'm an edgelord. I can do things. It really is, in almost every sense, it's a premonition of what's coming with Marvel over the next 15 years as they drift away from the aspect of promoting the hero. This is a direct result of the full embracement of the deconstructionalist mindset. And we get good art, and that's the thing, man. There's some good art in these books, but it's so momentary, and it gets lost in the noise of a really bad story. We go to prison and we find the X-Men. Nightcrawler's there. Cyclops has had his eyes sewn shut, so he can't kill anybody. Quicksilver had his arms and his legs amputated, so he can't actually move and use his powers, which, again, and it's all just little quips. We don't spend any time. We don't explain how it happened. We don't explain why. We just show it because it's shock value. And look how cool we are. It's just so dumb. And then the switch happens. And we go from art, as I've been showing, that's like this, that it is interesting, to just very, very sterilized art. And it further makes no sense. And then we get explanations for what happened to Thor and the White Queen. And again, we're covering all the bases as best we can. And then we get into this, and the art somehow gets even worse. And then as we get to the end of the book, we start actually trying to do like grid panels and do story, which doesn't work with the context of the story. At first you're disjointed because the story doesn't match the art at all. And then you're like, okay, and it kind of starts going the opposite way. And then the art starts telling a story, but the story itself goes a different direction. It is the strangest thing to read. Because anytime you think you have a firm grip on what they're trying to do, it changes yet again. And we go from this to, we get Ghost Rider, and then the story shifts, and then we get that, which is, honestly, I think this is the worst page in the entire book. It is just so bad. It looks like something that would be on an indie campaign. And when I say an indie campaign, I mean like an indie campaign that has like 5 backers. This is
not even 5.
This is just awful.
The creator and his mother, and that's it.
Yeah, one of those where they gotta. It's just, oh my god, why?
And this is the only page on the campaign.
Yeah, that would sum it up. And then we go and we meet Ben Grimm. And this is honestly the last of book 2 is where we finally settle down and we get a little bit of a glimpse at what a story is. Because Ben Grimm never went up with the Fantastic Four. Instead, Von Doom went up with them, and we get what happened to the Fantastic Four. They all got their powers, but they all went a terrible way, and he's explaining what happened. It's interesting. And then we go away from that, and then the lead character's like, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be a Marvel. It's going to be called The Marvels, and everybody's going to like it. But I just need to make it because he's dying of cancer because he ran into Peter Parker after Peter Parker bit the spider, and Parker gives cancer to everybody around him. But then he's walking down an alley and dies and drops his suitcase, and all of his files blow away in the wind. And that's the end of the book.
Yeah. I mean, you literally could have put Poochie died on his way back to his home planet. That's how quick it happened.
Yeah, it's just okay, what? It doesn't work at all. Peter Orchard says there's a book on Indiegogo called Pitter Patter, which is wild and like nothing I've ever seen. It's a good book with a great story, definitely worth the read. Have you read it yet then? So is it in demand and you've read it? I'm just curious because you said it's worth the read. Henry Bemis, that's sad. Why are they the way they are? Apparently I missed a good Bemis one. Sorry if I did. I did not read this, and after tonight, that's not going to change. No, this is a full double don't recommend. The art is interesting, slightly, but not enough to buy it. It's just bad. You would have to be a diehard Warren Ellis fan and want to own everything that Ellis did to get this. Otherwise, it's not worth your time at all. But every once in a while, we like to do a shitty book here in the gutter. So Peter Orchard also says, I got what you were saying. It just inhibits creativity from the mindset you would never get a Sam Keith. I'm not sure how you reached to Sam Keith based off of what JP said, but okay. Mr. McFeely says KSSS. Well, there you go. Ted Turner with an eye patch. There is a little bit of that going on. It's funny you mentioned that because that was in the back of my mindset. Cap is kicking Nixon. Oh, maybe. Maybe is it
Yeah,
Nixon?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's poorly drawn, but yeah.
It does look like Nixon. But yeah, it's just not a good book. Henry Bemis sums it all up. Fuck this comic. Yeah. I got AIDS from this book, says Citizen Ronan, and ruined it. Indeed.
I mean,
it
we
did.
we kind
It's
of
just
blew by it, but I like how little thought they put into typeface for the logo. I was like, nah, I'll just do Arial Black.
yeah, it's just bad. Henry Bemis sums it up. I hate nihilism and deconstruction in comics. Look,
Well, here's the thing, though. This is still like about 10 years before edgelord culture, right?
yes,
And like heavy nihilism, like shows like House MD. Yeah, like the edgy shit music doesn't really come out until about the 2000s.
no. This is a clarion call of what's coming.
Yeah.
And and this is what's amazing about it. So it did not sell well. Issue 1 sold well because everybody thought it was. Well, it didn't sell great. It sold okay. I should clarify that. It sold okay. But they also realized that there was a problem, and that's why they changed the art. But the problem is it wasn't the art. But this is Marvel's response. This is Marvel late 90s. They think it's the art. So they changed the art team. That's a hypothetical on my part. I can't confirm that. But what happens is it still doesn't sell well. So it sits in obscurity, but there's a small cadre of people that remember it. And also things change, right? So in 2009, as edgelorddom becomes bigger, this gets released as a trade paperback. And people buy it because Ellis is now a name and he's improved in his writing. He's still an edgelord, but he's improved. And so Marvel re-releases it as a trade paperback and it sells better than the original, but it's received even worse. It's the moment when the trade paperback come out, the reviews were worse than when the issues came out, which is even wilder. Now, if you dig around now, you will find that there are people that love this. And then if you trace back their reviews, if all the people that I found giving this like 4 and 5-star reviews never give anything that Ellis reviewed less than a 4-star review. They're just Ellis fans that are diehards and go through his entire catalog and give him reviews. So I might suggest ever so slightly that there are people that are just sycophants for certain people that it doesn't matter what they do. They will just always praise their work. Just suggesting that
I have a question though, because you mentioned that the art suddenly changes and becomes, sterile and it doesn't look painted anymore. And when you showed the credits page, it had both the guy that took over and the divorced couple. Is that the cutoff? Like in the middle of the book?
Yes, I believe so. Everything I could find states that the Nielsen's were not involved in issue 2 at all, but I find that really hard to believe because that first arc of the book 2 looks like their art, and they are credited. So I think the cutoff point is here. I think this is Moeller stepping in and finishing the book. And if I was to throw a dart at the board and guess, I'm guessing editorial stepped in around this part because the story becomes a little. I'm not praising the story. Do not get me wrong, but it becomes a little bit more coherent when this art style takes over. It becomes a little bit more linear. Not much and not enough to redeem anything that came before it, but there is something to be said that it seems to have a little bit of a cleaner hand. Now, that also could just be Ellis got off of his booze kick and actually started writing. That also could be the case.
I'm just imagining Marvel editorial. I don't know if you remember the Chappelle Show skit, the wrap it up box. Like
no,
they just pull out you gotta wrap this shit up, B.
It very well could be that for sure. KSS says Ellis fanboys. They're like Zack. Dude, you nailed it. Ellis fanboys are like Zack Snyder fans. They could get on a turd on a plane from them and the fans would swear. That's perfect. Thank you. You summed it up, man. Ellis's fandom has dwindled greatly since the accusations he was Me Too'd. And it doesn't, like, nobody should be Me Too'd, but I think we're all grateful that we're not getting more Ellis comics. He does have some gems, though, and I do
Yeah,
want
what did we read that was
Fell. I've praised it a couple times. Right?
Fell.
Fell is fantastic. With
And
Ben
also
Temple.
has that kind of like painted, dreary look.
It's one of the greatest examples. I think Ben Templesmith really does a great job on the art of Fell. I think it was a full buy-in by both Ellis and Templesmith. It's a great series. I'd love to see more stuff like that from Ellis and less of this. But this tends to be the kind of shit that Ellis usually shovels out. And in a lot of ways, there is a net positive that he's not doing a lot of work anymore. I haven't really read much of his stuff since he was Me Too'd. But the little bit that I've heard that he has done tends to be more like Fell than like this. Whereas before we got more of this. So, it might just be one of those things where, again, it's the editorial and it's JP touched my leg in Gordo Corral.
That's not true. I think what he meant to say is penis.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified. But yeah, so that's gonna do it, I think, for us tonight. Unless you had anything else to add, JP. I mean, this is again, tonight we covered Ruins issue 1 from August of '95 and issue 2 from September of '95. They're not worth your time. They are not a recommend. But
us talking about it is worth your time.
Absolutely.
Ironically.
I think the most interesting thing about this book is it's 10 to 15 years ahead of its time from when Marvel really went through the full buy-in for this full deconstructionist, really nihilistic, angst-oriented phase. And in that regard, it's interesting because it's the first time I think you really see that, at least to my knowledge. Anybody's welcome to correct me, but it's the first time I recall seeing this that would become prevalent in a mainstream book. And I mean, there's some argument over on DC. You could probably argue that, what was the Final Crisis response? I can't remember the name of it right now, but you could probably argue that maybe that was a little bit of this, but I think it's interesting in that. This Citizen Ronan says, this just ruins my whole night. Dude, you just did more literary work with that pun than this book ever hoped to accomplish. How's that? God damn, I always get it here 5 minutes before the show ends. Well, dude, we started at 11:30 and we try to keep it an hour just because we want to keep it tight and focused on the book and not drag it out too much. So appropriate reviewing Ruins on the show that ruins my whole week. Oh, ba-dum-bum. And Henry Bemis says, now I'm going to go listen to The Cure and cut myself. Thanks, guys. Hey, no problem, Henry Bemis.
Remember, up the street, not cross the highway.
Save the paramedics time. What are your last thoughts on this one, JP?
Oh, this book is shit. But also, make sure you back Eudaimonia in 3 weeks.
Yes, indeed. You are launching Eudaimonia in 3 weeks. And Noirlam 2 is ready to go from the publisher. You will be doing a short campaign for signed copies. Is that also in July?
Wait, let's see here. So Eudaimonia 3, June 13th, Noirlam 2, July 21st.
I'm sorry. I said that they were both in July. But yeah, so Eudaimonia 3 is in June. And then Noirlam 2 will be in July. You will be doing a campaign for signed copies. If you don't want a signed copy, I believe you said you just want people to order them through mass market retailer.
Yeah, that would help out a lot. And if you're in another country, there should be an equivalent that you can order on. Save a few bucks on shipping.
Well, fantastic. Well, as always, man, congratulations again on being published and having a publisher back your work. That's fantastic. That's the dream for everybody. And JP was solid advice. And Spider-Man giving everyone cancer isn't as bad as what Marvel would do to him. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. If only we could hold on for one more day. Snuggy Jr. spitting facts saying Disintegration by The Cure is the greatest album ever. It's not the greatest album ever, but it is a damn solid album. Ruins review summary, 2 acts. Well, damn it. You know what? I might just have to do this. Before we close out, just for KSSS, we're going to jump back in time. And there we go. And on that note, we'll close it out. We'll be dropping the link in the stream if you want to join us in the back room. We'll be talking and having a good time. Just general yucks and laughs. So look forward to if you can join us. And Snuggy Jr. says, no way, sycophants, say it ain't so. We haven't seen anything like that around these parts. Absolutely not. That would never happen. But thank you for joining us here on The Gutter. This was Ruins. Double not recommend. Absolute dog shit. But a orange cone on the road to the future for what was to come from Marvel.
This is blood for blood and by the gallons. This is the old days, man, the bad days, the all or nothing days. They're back. There's no choices left.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.